These concerns from the opposition about the government's new hate speech laws. Let's speak live now to Shadow Home Affairs Minister Jonathon Duniam. Mr Duniam, thanks for your time again on Sky News today. Tell us a bit more about the opposition's issue with the bill as it stands.
Alex, thanks for having me. Well, look, the opposition have for 2 days now been asking questions around the legislation. It's about 500 pages between the bill itself and the explanatory memorandum. It's a lot of detail to get through in a very short period of time. And almost universally, the legislation has been panned by stakeholders outside of government. And that, of course, is an alarm bell for us as parliamentarians. We set a test for the government, and that was, please urgently bring in laws that stamp out anti-Semitism and will deal with Islamic extremism in this country. And as far as we can tell, based on the feedback from stakeholders and the analysis we've been able to do of the laws ourselves, they have not passed that test. So while we want action, and we are here in Canberra now, acting in good faith, wanting to do the right thing by the Jewish community here in Australia and the community more broadly, the government appear to have let us down by cobbling together something that doesn't hit the mark, and what's more, we believe has a significant impact on freedom of speech in this country, which is gravely concerning.
Is it an easy fix? Is there any one bit of detail you can share with us? We've heard talk about this religious text exemption, for example.
Well, I'm not sure there is an easy fix, and this is the thing. Doing things on the fly is always a dangerous thing to do when you're legislating, and yes, we wanted urgent action, but it wasn't a case of just asking the government to bring anything to legislate. We need to get this right, and at the moment it looks like the bills are nowhere near right. The religious text exemption, we even had the Human Rights Commission yesterday indicate to us that that was a problematic provision. There's no clarity around what a religious text actually is, and then what do you do for religions that, of course, don't have a central text? Do we just forget about them and let them get caught up in these laws? We had Christian churches yesterday say that they were concerned about the multiple definitions of hate in various parts of the legislation. Why isn't there just one? Which one are we supposed to abide by? All of these things indicate significant inconsistencies around what we should be passing as laws here. When Mike Pizzulo, the former head of Home Affairs in this country, the Department of Home Affairs, who knows a thing or two about legislation of this nature, says these laws are some of the most significant when it comes to legislating around speech for many a year, perhaps half a century. We should be taking this extremely seriously. And I'm afraid what the government have presented leaves us asking more questions and with less comfort than we would have liked at this stage.
Sources have told Sky News the Prime Minister is willing to work with Susan Lee and the coalition to amend this bill. Is that a negative, or isn't it how a functioning democracy should work?
Well, of course, it's how a functioning democracy should work. Here we are in Canberra. I'm in Canberra. My colleagues are in Canberra. This morning we'll be going back in as a committee, the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security, to look at the bill and go through it page by page to try and understand it. We are here trying to fix this mess that Labor have lobbed into the Parliament. What they've presented doesn't do what they said it would, and what we as Australians are expecting it will do, and that is stamp out anti-Semitism and deal with Islamic extremism. The bill doesn't seem to do those things. And what's more, when you have witnesses who haven't yet even been able to provide a written submission, none of the witnesses we spoke to yesterday have yet provided written analysis of the legislation, this hurried process, difficult but part of the environment we're in at the moment. There are so many concerns yet to come to the fore here that we need to deal with. The government are going to have to look closely at what they put into the committee for its consideration and figure out how they're going to fix the bill that they drafted with no input from anyone else outside of government. This is their legislation. We're here willing to work with them, but it is on them. They are the ones who've let this country down, and in particular the Jewish community, by what they brought into the Parliament today.
And in the meantime, we're already seeing these tensions on display here in Australia between those wanting to exercise their right to free speech and the need for sensitivities only just past the 1-month anniversary following the Bondi Beach terror attack. The Adelaide Writers' Festival was one example, and now planned protests in Sydney as well, despite a ban on rallies in that state. Should those demonstrations go ahead? Should people be OK about forfeiting their rights to free speech right now?
Well, context is everything, Alex, and I don't want to run a commentary on what should or shouldn't be happening anywhere in the country. I am very concerned about how, as a country, we deal with issues like this in the wake of what we've just been through as a nation. We need to protect those who are vulnerable, yes. We need to be sensitive to the concerns and indeed some of the things that give rise to the actions we ultimately saw happen in Bondi at the end of last year. But we do need to protect free speech. I think there's a lot of common sense missing from debate out there. I think that people need to start looking at things perhaps through that lens of common sense when they're exercising what they do and say. And indeed, with regard to the Adelaide Writers' Festival, going back to exactly how all of this issue started with the uninviting of that author and why they uninvited her in the context of why they did that, I think is important to consider. But look, I just hope Australians take a deep breath and do what we do best, and that is get along, respect one another's views, tolerate one another's views, and live harmoniously in this great country.
Yeah, and keep debating, but even, as you say, respect opposing views. Many thanks indeed. We're going to talk more about this. Jonathon Duniam, I'm sure, that's the Shadow Home Affairs Minister speaking to us.
Thanks, Alex.